So like a lot of you, I started building this miter saw station 2 years ago, maybe more. I was fired up. Woo! I had a plan and then life happened. But this series, this is the accountability that I needed. No more halfway through. I want this station to work the way I always imagined it could. And if you're still rocking that stock blade and that plastic insert, this video's for you. So here's the thing. Like a lot of folks, I got into woodworking through YouTube University. No formal schooling, no shop teacher showing me how to take care of my tools and clean my blades. Just a lot of trial and error along the way and a lot of room projects. One of the things I've learned over the years is if you don't take care of your tools, then your work is going to pay the price. So before we get to any of the fun upgrades, let's make sure this blade is cutting clean and true. I ended up taking the blade guard off so you could see it better on camera how I can remove the blade. But one thing I did forget is the only upgrade I have done to this saw is I added one of these dust chutes from Shop Nation, Travis at Shop Nation. And with this dust chute on, the good thing about it is it really hugs the blade to catch all the dust. But unfortunately with it on, you can't take the blade off. So I need to take this blade guard off, and it's not easy to get to. Let me see if I can show you. It's way up back here. All right, now that we got that dust chute out, blade comes right out. How many of you are rocking that original blade in your miter saw? Don't be embarrassed. Leave a comment below, let me know. Figured while we have this apart, you might as well clean it. This is one of my favorite little 3D printed accessories. I think it was $10. Fits right onto my Festool hose. All right, now let's grab a new blade. I didn't buy a new blade for this. I have plenty. We're gonna want one with a high tooth count for cross cutting. Have you guys ever seen my Blades of Glory saw blades? I just have them both sides. I have them labeled up top what they are, and then they're held on by magnets. I think since we're doing cross cutting, I'm not going to really be using this for any kind of like pine, like 2x4s or whatever. I use mostly hardwood. So we're going to go with a high tooth cross cut blade, and I have a 60 tooth blade. Yeah, here. FS tool. This was actually given me by somebody. Sharp as heck and clean. I just cleaned them. So this would be a good blade for the miter saw. All right, it's actually a little bit out of square. It's pretty close down here, but as you get up higher, there's definitely a visual gap. I do find this interesting to note because I'm not sure I've ever tilted the saw like this. So just from normal use of it extending and closing, whatever, it's actually over time gotten out of adjustment. I definitely, when I do my miters, I do them like this. So interesting to note that even if you're not adjusting the back tilt bevel, it can still be out of line, so you gotta measure it. With the back lock released, I pivot the saw back and forth until it's true. A reliable square keeps me honest here, and then it's just a matter of locking it back in place. All right, now let's grab my bigger square and check this blade to the back fence. Now we'll extend it and check it as well. Wow, that's pretty impressive. It's square all the way out to this part of the blade here, as far as my square will go. Now let's check it on a piece of wood. Perfect. All right, now that we have a new blade on there and we're happy with how it's all squared up, it's time to replace my favorite blue, but this plastic insert. Let's create a zero clearance insert out of some hardwood. If you got a lumber yard like mine, finding the right scrap is half the battle. So you have quite a bit of teak. It's actually probably perfect for this. Is teak too oily though? Is it gonna get oil on my woods? Ooh, that would be kind of fancy. There's a little piece of walnut that I filled with epoxy in this crack. That might be kind of cool. Not sure what else I'll be using this for anyway. I think this is gonna be the winner. This is a piece of walnut that I've had forever. When I have extra epoxy mixed up, I find boards like this with a crack in it and just fill it, so God knows how long this has been like this. So let's clean this piece up a little bit, and then we could probably get two. After I clean it up, maybe three, but probably just two inserts out of this piece. So let's start cleaning it up on the joiner. Before I can resaw this piece for the zero clearance plate, I need one flat face and one square edge. The joiner makes quick work of it and gives me a solid reference for the bandsaw. This is one of my favorite little reminders I made, always to remind me to tension the blade before using it. Let's set up for a resaw. All right, we got our book match part here, cut in half on the bandsaw. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the two clean sides, double-sided stick them down to a piece of scrap plywood here, and then we're gonna run it through the planer to get them to equal thickness, the same thickness of our insert plate here that we're trying to recreate. I'm using a little double-sided tape to secure these thin walnut pieces to a piece of plywood. A little goes a long way. You don't need much. The reason for the plywood backer is simple. These pieces are too thin to safely run through the planer on their own. Without support, they get chewed up, or worse, disappear entirely. All right, I grabbed my set of calipers. I want to see the thickness of this. 2.267. Can you see that? It's at 0.26 right now. So that's a little bit of it hanging over, so I'd be able to get my calipers on there. 0.26. So we want it to come down a little bit. Once the planer work is done, I peel the walnut off the plywood backer. Double-sided tape holds strong, but comes off clean. Then I trace the old insert onto the new blank so I can keep the shape consistent. A few quick cuts at the table saw remove the bulk of the waste and get me closer to that final fit. So now that we got our piece cut to size, I'm just going to treat this as if it's a template. I'm going to put double-sided tape on it, I'm going to slap it on here, and I'm going to flush trim it on the router. Gonna go up to the 1/2 inch collet because we're gonna use the big boy flush trimmer. With the shape dialed in, I use the old insert plate to mark the screw holes on the new walnut blank. Then it's over to drill and countersink each one. The goal here is simple. Those screws need to sit just below the surface so they don't interfere with any cuts. A quick test fit confirms we're in the clear. All right, after about 5 coats of lacquer, these came out super nice. Here's a tip. If you're making these, batch them out. Make 2 or even 3, because if you're going through all the trouble to mill all the wood, get it down to the right size, good to have extras. Also, if you are someone who likes to bevel your miter to cut your miters, then you'll have an extra one just for that. Food for thought. Gonna grab a straight edge here and make sure nothing is above the metal of the miter saw, including the screw heads. All right, looks good there. Zero inserts means cleaner cuts, less chip out, and more support right where the blade exits the wood. All right, the last thing I want to do is kind of just be quick and dirty. I'm going to add a sacrificial fence to the back. So the bottom is going to help us with tear out from when the blade exits the wood underneath. And then this, in theory, will help us as the blade exits from the back. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is just some MDF. I'm going to use the existing holes in this back fence, throw a couple screws in it, and be done with it. So let's get started. All right, this is the piece here. I'm just gonna use MDF because it's sacrificial. I wish it was a little bit taller, but it's what I had on hand. One thing I have seen people do is say wrap at the bottom, and that makes sense. It's a good thing to allow sawdust to not get trapped and mess up with your cuts. Instead of doing that though, I'm just gonna take a couple washers and raise it up. It's gonna serve the same purpose. So. One thing I wanted to point out here is I only attach this fence to the upper screws, and that's because if I wanted to do a long cut, I wouldn't be able to with my dust collection here. So by having it attached to only the top, I could loosen this top fence and slide it out of the way. And now I have full use of motion. I don't have to slide it that far, but you see. Another great benefit of the sacrificial fence is you can mark your board wherever you like, and then you can line that up with the kerf, knowing that that is the kerf of your saw. All right, now we got a fresh blade that cuts square, and it's going to leave nice clean cuts thanks to our insert and sacrificial fence. This saw is ready to go. For the next video in my miter saw station series, I'm going to be adding T-track to both sides of the miter saw, and I'm making a custom block. This is really going to help with those repetitive cuts. I appreciate you guys watching. Until the next video, follow me over on Instagram for daily posts, and we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.